is up, guys? This is the 2018 Harley Davidson Softail Fat Bob. One of my buddies got it the other day. He's a dealer and had to take it out because when this bike originally came out, I was a complete hater and I wanted to see if my hate for this motorcycle was warranted. And I can tell you this, it absolutely was not. I've been riding Harley Davidsons now for a very long time. Usually I ride either on the Dyna platform, FXDXs or T-Sports, or my favorites have always been FXRs. FXR-Ts, the Tourings, the Ps, the Police, the Ds, and the S's. And I've always sworn hands down that the FXR was the best bike Harley's ever made. And to be totally honest, when this thing came out, I felt like Harley Davidson had officially lost their direction and they had no sense of what their customer base sought in a motorcycle anymore. But I couldn't be further from the truth with this bike. Cosmetically, there's some things that are neither here nor there with this bike. You can take it or leave it. For me, they don't really appeal to my personal styling, and I'll get into that. But if you're gonna have one motorcycle that can check all the boxes for you as a daily driver, something you can take on long rides, something that handles and performs, I gotta tell you, this Fat Bob is that bike. I just took it out for the first time, like I said, and it's absolutely incredible. This Milwaukee 8 drivetrain performs like no Harley Davidson I've ever ridden. Same with the suspension on this motorcycle. Out of the box, this is hands down the best Harley Davidson I've ever ridden without really any upgrades whatsoever, except for maybe some slip-on exhaust. But other than that, this thing has 1,100 miles on it, and it's basically a brand new bike, and it completely blew my mind with its performance. Looking at the bike, a couple of things that really stand out for me. Obviously, the upside down front end handles tremendously. And one of the things I thought I would really dislike about this bike, and I've never really understood it whatsoever, is forward controls. I feel like it's a terrible riding position. I've always felt that way. But in getting on this motorcycle, and like I said, coming from like a Dyna or an FXR platform, this bike is very small, it feels like. It's very short from the saddle to the handlebars, much like an FXR. So at 6'1", when I sit on this bike, my feet are almost right underneath me. So although the controls do seem to be forward, it's a very natural riding position. Personally, if this was a motorcycle that I owned, I might bring them back just a couple more inches, but much further than that, it would almost be moving more into the position of like a rear set, which is what you would find like on a sport bike. So like I said, one of the things I hated about this bike when it came out was the forward controls. And in riding this bike, it completely changed my opinion of those pegs and their location. Not a huge fan of a big front wheel. After riding the bike, I mean, it performs and handles phenomenally. But cosmetically, I feel like a 19 would make more sense up front just stylistically, but you know, how would that impact the performance of the motorcycle? It's unknown. One thing I can't get away from or get my head around is the exhaust. It's just, it's not for me. It's unsightful. It's just too big. It covers too much of that beautiful motor and the tranny, and just almost the whole back section of the motorcycle is obstructed by this exhaust system. So that would definitely be something that I would change on a personal note if this was in fact my motorcycle. And then moving to the back, I don't know what it is with Harley Davidson and these bobbed fenders, but it really seems to be their go-to fender on their mid-size bikes these days. Whether it was the old Street Bob or the Lowrider S, and now this bike, I'm just not a fan of it. I like a traditional fender that goes down a little further over the tire, more to like an 11 o'clock location, that kind of conceals a little bit more of that back tire from the back. I'm not a fan of the way this looks. It's like looking up a dress or something. I like a little left to the imagination, if you know what I mean. So I would probably change the fender more to like a Dyna style fender or an FXR fender. But you know, that's, like I said, that's all just personal taste. As far as performance goes with this motorcycle, it is really exceptional. If you're just getting into motorcycles and you're just getting into Harley Davidsons and you really don't know exactly what you're looking for, I would strongly encourage anybody to take a look at this Fat Bob. I feel another big disservice that Harley Davidson did was by calling this a Softail. If you've been around Harley Davidsons for any matter of time and you know the original Softails, by no means does this motorcycle share any attributes of the original Softail. This is a rider's motorcycle, where in my opinion, the original Softails were much more of like a short distance motorcycle slash like bar hopper kind of motorcycle. This is a bike that you can really, really ride and go somewhere on. The suspension is phenomenal. It tracks straight. You don't have any of that Dyna wiggle or wobble that was so common on the early 2000 Dynas. This thing just really, really is exceptional. And like I said, if you're considering a new Harley Davidson, this bike definitely deserves your attention. I don't think you will be disappointed. At least I was not. So that's the 2018 Softail Fat Bob. Like I said, I was very skeptical when I came out. I was just an out and out hater of this motorcycle, but wow, it has definitely changed my mind, and I definitely think you deserve to give it a look. All right, thanks for viewing this video, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this bike, and if you own one or if you've ridden one, I'd love to see what your feedback is, because like I said, I've been riding Harley Davidsons for a pretty long time, and this is hands down the best performing Harley Davidson I've ever ridden. So thanks again for viewing, and have a good one.